We were once taught that life was simple: go to school, get a job, find someone, get married, and live happily ever after. But in today's society, that simply doesn't work for many people. So, if you're over 40 or even over 50 and you find yourself living alone, you're truly not alone. Because a lot of people are making this choice. You'll have to excuse the traffic and the birds chirping, the sun is coming up, and someone's bound to complain. But that's just a part of where I live. I'm currently 59 years old and have been living here by myself with my dogs for 11 years, though I've actually been single for 13 years. And I constantly get people asking me, why don't you find somebody? Why don't you find somebody? Well, I'm here to tell you why. I just don't want anybody anymore. I am genuinely ready to tell you that, like a lot of people, I went through many relationships. I was married twice and divorced twice. A lot of those issues, frankly, were my fault. I was selfish. I drank too much and I worked night shifts. Working nights, especially if your spouse works days, can kill a relationship faster than almost anything. It really requires finding someone truly compatible, which is incredibly difficult, though not impossible. I guess I didn't manage to do that, and then my 40s arrived, bringing with them what felt like my wild years. I spent that time chasing women, partying, and going to nightclubs, a phase that probably lasted until I was about 46. Eventually, I grew tired of that lifestyle and started staying home, dating women on and off until I moved here. And let me tell you, the dating pickings in this area are extremely slim. Attractive women are almost non-existent here. I know I might upset some women by saying that, but I'm going to be brutally honest. There just isn't an abundance of attractive women around here. And do they absolutely have to be attractive? Not necessarily, but truthfully, there's just nothing here for me. In all the time I've lived here, I have not dated a single person from this area, not because I couldn't, but because everyone is drawn to a certain type of person, and that type isn't here. I don't go out looking anymore, and I've adjusted very well to living a single life. We're going to talk about the pros and cons, and let me tell you, the cons I've found are very few. There's no easy way to say this without potentially hurting feelings, but a significant problem today is that too many women and men, and I used to be one of them, are simply too overweight. I don't find overweight people attractive. I know I still ain't conventionally attractive, but being overweight is not an appealing feature. You generally don't want to wake up in the morning, roll over, grab your spouse, and have to open your arms really wide. That's just one blunt observation, and it seems to vary depending on where you live. There are, of course, many different kinds of women and men. I'm also not attracted to the type of woman who constantly needs to be at the beauty parlor, always getting their nails done, and endlessly fussing with their hair. To me, it feels fake. Yes, they might look good at that moment, but is that what they really look like when all the makeup is off and their hair is down? No. You're essentially putting on a mask. That used to be less of an issue back in the 40s and 50s. Yes, in the 50s, women often wore dresses and looked lovely, though some women get annoyed by that suggestion now. I think a lot of this comes from growing up in a different time when people weren't as overweight, and there was an abundance of non-overweight people out there. Now, that's less common. It seems younger generations have grown up with this shift, as you'll see skinny guys with bigger women, and it doesn't seem to bother them. Maybe it's just me, but you will never convince me that a man or woman who is overweight is attractive. This isn't one of my health videos. This is me explaining why being alone is the best choice for me, and it might be for you too. I'm not looking for a beauty queen. Well, I'm not looking for anyone now, but even when I wasn't truly seeking that. I was looking for someone real, who didn't need to apply $500 worth of makeup every day just to look good. If you use natural products, you could probably look better with natural skin than you ever would with makeup. Women are plastering all this stuff on their faces, and that cannot be good for the skin. Seriously, look at what they put in our food. What do you think they're putting in that makeup you're applying to your face? What will your skin look like when you're 60 or 70? I've noticed, and I'm not ashamed to say it, I've had issues with my teeth in the last 5 years, even having a front tooth fall out because of bone loss from an old jaw injury. Yes, I need new teeth, I'm aware, and I don't need comments on that. But the general point is, if you don't feel good about yourself, as I didn't when I was overweight, that's not the time to be hunting for women. And just because I was overweight, it didn't suddenly make me attractive to overweight women. It didn't. My taste in women did not change just because I gained weight. That's why I didn't seek anybody then. And even though I've lost all that weight now, I have no interest at all in living with someone. There are just too many downsides to it. Perhaps I'm selfish, but there are so many drawbacks to living with someone, even financially. I simply don't like answering to anyone. Call me selfish if you want. Some people are just not meant to stay married or be with a partner, and that doesn't make me a bad person, it's just who I am. And that doesn't mean you have to be unhappy. What I've done, for example, is get a bunch of dogs. I'm down to 4 now, but at one point I had about 9 dogs here. They kept me busy and they kept me company, and they don't complain. They might give you a little bit of sass every now and then, but they don't complain if you do this or do that. I can wake up each morning and say, I'm going to do this. I'm going to get my tools out and build this. And nobody gives me any grief. Not the dogs, not the birds you hear outside. Nobody. I guess I just never learned how to be truly compatible with someone else. I've had a few good relationships, but for the majority of the time, I wasn't happy. I just was never made up to be that way. Some people are, some people aren't. Now, some people lose their spouse for various reasons and have a very hard time adjusting. Here's a trend I notice all the time on Facebook. Someone will get out of a relationship, and within a month, guess what? They've found someone else. Then they get married, and a year or 2 later, they're starting all over again. There are just some people who cannot be without someone, and their lives go nowhere. They're miserable, constantly looking. I see this so much online now. I never noticed it before the internet. But you have those friends who, as soon as they lose a boyfriend or girlfriend, are immediately out looking and finding another. They fall in love really quickly, and sometimes that's a false sense of love. They think they're in love, but they don't give it time to find out what that person is really like or to know their background. That's a huge thing. You get with someone, and then you find all these things out about them, things you wish you would have known before you started. I just don't want to go through that anymore. I truly don't. It's not worth it to me. I am extremely happy, and I do not get lonely. Believe me, I will never ever get into a relationship again. I just won't. At least that's what I'm thinking right now. Who knows where life leads, but I'm just not looking for that. And I'm happier alone. It doesn't bother me at all. Now, when I'm down to 0 dogs, I might start feeling a little lonely, but you know what I'm going to do? Go get another dog. That's just me. But I am serious when I say that people sometimes do things they think make them attractive, but it's the complete opposite. For example, these young girls nowadays, with these new fake eyelashes that stick out an ear length. I've never seen one in person where I live, as they don't do that here. But they look ridiculous, like aliens. What man would actually like that? I've seen videos where men talk about this, and no man I've heard likes it. I think women often do things for other women. The makeup, the hair. One woman goes out and gets a certain hairdo, and guess what? The next one has to go out and get that same hairdo. I want someone who is real, not afraid to get dirty. I don't know, that person just isn't around here, and even if they were, I'm not looking. Now, some of the downsides of being alone when I'm cutting wood, I might need someone to hold the other end of the board sometimes, or when I'm trying to lift or move something heavy. That's a challenging aspect, isn't it? Sometimes I don't want to feed the chickens, and it would be nice to have someone else to say, hey, go feed the chickens. But I don't have that person. I have to do it. That's about it, man. I honestly don't see any other major downsides. It's just that, I guess, you get used to being alone if you're alone long enough. It simply becomes a normal part of life. I could almost be in the woods somewhere, 1,000 miles from the nearest human, and it wouldn't bother me a bit, as long as there was a Walmart around the corner or something, because I still need to eat. So, I don't know. Tell me in the comments what your thoughts are. Everyone has had bad relationships. If you haven't, you're incredibly lucky. Decades ago, people would get married and stay married until the day they died. My parents are still together, married for over 60 years. That simply doesn't happen anymore. People are too independent. Social media has really destroyed a lot of relationships, and there's a lot of cheating now. I don't want to deal with any of that. Am I wrong for not wanting to deal with all that? I was never a jealous person, but yes, it has happened to me. That's not fun to find out, but that's life. And I was not an angel myself, I'll tell you that. I was never an angel myself, and that's another reason I stay out of it. It's just too much to deal with. I'm very happy being alone. Nobody should feel sorry for me. I'm happy. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my entire life. And my life is more successful now than it's ever been. I just prioritize other things over a relationship. Now, I'm not saying relationships are bad at all. They're good. If you find one that's good, more power to you. Definitely stay in it. Everyone should be able to find somebody that is true to them, someone they can trust, rely on, and depend on. But that's just not the case anymore. And I think as time goes on, it's only going to get worse. Some of the things you see people go through in relationships are just terrible. The violence, the emotional turmoil, you name it. I don't want to have to deal with any of that. And no, I'm never going to be a marriage counselor. Don't come asking me for advice because I'm going to tell you to live alone. You know, there are just so many guys and women my age who are alone, and they have their reasons, but they won't tell anybody. So I'm here telling you my reasons. Mainly, I'm just happier alone. It has nothing to do with looks or being overweight or any of that specific stuff. I am simply happy being alone, and that's it. Yes, it's getting tougher to find somebody. And then, as trucks pass, there's another issue when we age, especially if you're into attractive people. When we age, we're not as attractive as we used to be. Skin doesn't look as good. You get wrinkles. We just don't look the same. You have to be able to see past that. And even if somebody's a little overweight, you have to be able to see past that. And I'm just not willing to do that. I still have a 20-year-old mind, I guess. I don't know, what are your guys' thoughts? Am I bad? Do you mind an overweight woman? An ugly woman? A woman who plasters makeup on? I don't know. Nobody wants anyone that doesn't take care of themselves. Now, if you're a little overweight, but you don't plaster on makeup and aren't constantly in the beauty parlor, that's fine. I'm sure there are plenty of men or women out there that you could find. But at a certain point in life, you either make the decision to say, hey, I don't want to deal with this anymore, and live alone, focusing just on your life, or you embark on that tough search for that one person who may or may not even be out there. Let me tell you, people are going to jump on me. I'll probably get the worst comments ever on this video. I'm just giving you my honest opinion. That's why I'm happy. I'm happy the way it is, and I will probably be alone. They'll probably find me here 2 weeks after I've passed because nobody ever comes around. Well, that was my opinion, and I ask that it be respected. You don't have to agree with me, but these are some of the reasons a lot of people stay single. They just get tired of it. The constant search, the constant bickering, the constant financial crises. It's not fun. Thanks for watching, guys. It's the happy truth.